Trick Daddy, you got it, gang. Let's go. If you know it, you can get it. Let me know. Let me know. I'm about to break this thing up. Let's go. If you know it, you can get it. Let me know. Let me know. I'm about to break this thing up. Let's go.
If you want some, come get some. That's where I'm from. We so big. And everybody knows somebody that knows somebody that knows something about it. And I won't answer now. Who, what, where, why. See, a lot of dudes like to act the fool now.
That is not a good beer.
What'd you say?
Oh, that is not a good beer.
Oh, you having a beer right now?
I am. It's real bad. Sierra Nevada. Gross.
Sierra Nevada. Is that a flavor joint or?
No, it's just crazy hoppy though. Oof. I just like sucked on a thing of wheat.
You sucked on the wheat titty? Say that.
A little bit, man. Golly. So, welcome to the X's and O's.
Welcome.
Today, we're going to talk about stand-up comedy and why it's different, why it's not what it used to be. And then we're going to end that up with the draft here. So, kind of normal orders of business here. Welcome to the new schedule, first of all. So this is going to be the new time and date, or time and date. It's Tuesdays. Okay. All right.
Time and day.
Yeah, sure.
Day of the week.
Yeah. I think because it's not daytime, like I heard myself saying it, I'm like, time and day. Well, it's not really day, but is it? Like, and I went on like a little diatribe in my head. It's fine.
Arguing the semantics in your own head.
Really? Like, yeah, that's exactly what happened. I'm like, So, 10 o'clock or I mean, let's just shoot for 10. I mean, let's just keep it at 10, just so, you know, it gives you a chance to kind of get your bearings about it. And if you run late,
decompress.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I know, like, the last thing you want to do is like jump right on and start talking. But guess what? That's your life, so deal with it.
Yeah. I mean, that's fine. I mean, football is probably a little easier transition because it's like, okay, I'm thinking football all day anyway, or I'm probably going to check my fantasy team like 3 or 4 times while I'm at work. So
yeah,
I can easily transition.
We recently had the draft on Sunday or Saturday, and you know, we didn't get a lot of folks to show up. We had a few views, not anything crazy, but you know, I think a lot of that has to do with people were like, that's probably the biggest draft weekend. So
yeah,
I get it. No worries.
Yeah, I mean, like all the fantasy shows and everything I watched, everybody was saying, yeah, this weekend was it. You know, it's either
right.
They said from Thursday all the way to Sunday, everybody were jam-packed with drafts. So it's just the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to want to push it as close to the games that you can, to where you can still have a little, you know, you have time to, you know, you're not having to do it, then have to wake up for work the next morning. You know, that's kind of why I did it. Now, mind you, I didn't work on Labor Day, but that's kind of why I made it on Saturday, just so, you know, everyone could kind of enjoy themselves. So
what holidays do you work at previous job?
They've been giving a lot of holidays off lately. So
oh really?
Yeah, it's a weird thing.
I know when I was there, it was like mandatory. It's definitely
right.
management. 2 mandatory holidays you had to work. You had to choose them, pick them, you know. And as long as I got Christmas and Thanksgiving off, I wasn't working Christmas Day. If they tried to schedule me for that, I was gonna call off. So, and when I got kids, you know, if I didn't have kids and I was alone, maybe, you know, or even similar to a situation I'm in now, maybe, but at that time, no, hell no.
No.
I think I would work Labor Day. Labor Day and I always worked. I think the 4th and Labor Day. Those are the days I would work.
Yeah, and I didn't really care about working Labor Day. If I didn't do, if it wasn't draft weekend, I would have worked. But the time was there. I'm like, yeah, just take it. You're literally not doing anything that day, but let that be what you're doing is nothing. So
It's just a free day off to me. I mean, I almost never have any great plans on Labor Day. It's just okay. That's a
yeah,
day.
I mean,
All right, let's take it.
yeah, it's a weird. I don't know. It's a weird holiday. I don't know, but want to thank everyone that came out last night for baseball with Babs. There, we had Jim Rossetti from Northside Notch come on, and a lot of fun, man. A lot of fun. Definitely, I learned while we were doing this why he is as big as he is. Just very insightful, very good at what he does, and had a lot of engagement. So I just appreciate everyone that cared and watch it during. I mean, during the game too. Like I mean, obviously the team's not doing great, but still, the fact that you chose us over the game is
Appreciate it. Yeah, that's awesome.
so. Little piece of business here. So still, same thing as always. We're starting a month here. You got the Patreon up. You got the web address right below my name there. $5 to get unlimited questions, whatever it is, whether it be sports, not sports, whatever. It's just a cool thing for folks to be able to go ahead and latch on and get to know us. And at the end of the month, no matter how many questions we have, we'll do them. So,
open platform.
Yeah,
anything you like.
It's a fun thing there, but let's kind of get into it here. So the topic here, and little full disclosure here, we started kind of really brainstorming on things to talk about. Like we said before, and I'm not going to sit here and kowtow to folks, but we'll say, I apologize that we were not bringing our A game at all. Just kind of winging through it, and there were some down things that had to be spoken about, and that's fine. I get it. There's no problem with that. But kind of past that now, and we're kind of getting back on our proverbial horse, and
I mean, a couple series of unfortunate events kind of consumed both of us from both ends, and probably more so than me. But I mean, hey, we're like you said, we're back on the horse, and
right.
Hopefully we don't travel down that road again.
Well, I mean, you know what? It's life, but also I think the fact that learning from our mistakes is always something that we've kind of prided ourselves on. So it's just kind of a good deal. So, stand-up comedy, right? So I know last episode I did like a Webster's dictionary or Oxford dictionary description of whatever that show was even about. I forgot already.
Guilty pleasure.
Guilty pleasures. There. So, I'm not going to describe stand-up comedy. If you don't understand what that is, I can't help you. Really, I can't really help you.
This show ain't gonna give you the answers if you don't know what that is.
Go to Wikipedia, figure your life out. I don't know, but I'm a fan of it. I've seen it live, seen it on TV. It's been prevalent through the decades. It's not like one of those things that kind of was like a passing fad, right? It was never that. You got the big big stages, you got the improv, you got the things down in New York, Comedy Cellar and things like that, you have these, you know, Showtime at the Apollo. Like, you got these stepping stones that allow you to showcase your skills and develop and learn and just figure out what you're doing. It's really, it always struck me as a learn as you go kind of job, you know.
Oh, it's definitely an improvisation. I mean, you could have your routine down in a script format. It's sort of like, to me, it's still like public speaking, or it's like going to, like, suppose you're giving a speech at your graduation or your commencement. You're not going to say everything word for word, but you're going to have like bullet points on those cards and you speak freely off of them. And I think every comedian that does stand up goes in with that because, first of all, you can't take a piece of paper on the stage and it would just look ridiculously weird if you don't know or you're not feeling the topic that you're trying to make people laugh over, you know, live audience. And to me, it's a dying art. I mean, in today's world, it's harder and harder for these people to survive, and I'm pretty sure we're going to get into that. But quote unquote comedian, like the average comedians either can, and most of them can't do both. So like usually the comedians on a show on TV, they might have a script that, you know, they say certain things, punchlines, funny, and then if they get on stage on stand up, they're horrible. And vice versa, you can get somebody that's excellent on stage at stand-up comedy and, you know, very, you know, impromptu and improvisation, but then they're terrible on a show or on a movie. So to me, it's very rare to people that can do both. I mean, and we've discussed some of those comedians that can do both, but like you stated, what it was before and what it is now, I feel sorry for the people that are trying to do it now. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, let's jump into this. So you think about going to a live show. I feel like that's dead. I feel like it's dead. It just isn't there anymore because with the advent of Netflix specials and things like that, it has and maybe this is bias. I prefer to watch something at the house. And that means, you know, not going to the movies, not going to a comedy show, not really going to a game. I prefer to watch it at the house. And I want to be comfortable. I want to have quiet. I just want to have it. And I want to be in control of the atmosphere.
Of the situation.
Right. So I
want to be
think,
able to pause it. Something
Right.
happens, take a phone call. You don't want to miss anything. I agree with you to that. I mean, like, especially sporting events. Like, there's nothing like going to a game, but it's not the same at home. Now, the movies,
No.
I disagree with you on. I mean, I prefer to actually go to the movies, but like you said, sporting events or like a live event, like a concert or something. Yeah, you got to deal with all those people, and you know that can be a hassle. So yeah, there's nothing like the comfort of your own home for that.
Yeah. No, like, look, here's kind of what it comes down to, right? I think about it in the same sense of, okay, picture yourself as at a stand-up show, at a comedy show, right?
Okay.
And the punchline's coming, and you're about to hear it, and they start it, and then everyone in your general vicinity is cracking up, and you're like, what did he say?
What did he say? And you look like the silly person at the party or at the business party that didn't get the joke or
And
something.
it's not even just that. Like, you're angry because you paid money for it. You had the equity of the lead up of the joke to not hear the punchline. It's like,
It's not like you can scream up to the comedian and say, "Hey, Can you say that again?
Yeah, you know,
You
so
missed it.
right. But I just think that more people and box office ticket sales for movies, it it shows people are staying home more. People will wait, which is weird because we're instant gratification country, but we'll wait for it to come to streaming so we can be comfortable, unless it's some kind of grandiose epic. But generally speaking, how many of those are coming down the pipe? You know what I mean? So
Well, you got to
eh,
take in consideration the variables of what COVID-19 did to everyone. I mean,
oh,
not
absolutely.
saying not saying that people were going to stand-ups less and less, period, just to pre-COVID-19, but COVID-19 slammed the door
Mm.
on a lot of stuff to the point where these
Oh,
streaming services like Cinemax and Netflix, because people couldn't go to the movies, they were fighting each other of who can get the latest movie on their streaming service. So thank COVID 19 for, I mean, thank COVID 19 for the explosion of streaming services, put it that way, and the
yeah,
comfortability of people not wanting to deal with each other. But then they'll call
yeah,
themselves a people person.
yeah. No, you're not. um, but I think, yeah, I mean, with that definitely made the whole thing change, and that I, I mean, now things are back to normal, but I feel like we're cool with just sitting at the house. Like, I don't want to go to a show. Like, I don't want to be around a bunch of people. I don't feel like dealing with that, you know? So, and I get it, man. Live experience, fine. I get it. But I just think that it has changed with society, and this is kind of what we have now. I mean, and really, they're who's really out there killing it. On top of that, you think about,
Yeah,
10, 15, 20 years ago, you had your names. Now it's like, who's really doing it?
it's almost like heavyweight boxing. Like who's the heavyweight champ? Like almost nobody even cares. When 10,
Right.
15 years ago, that was like the headliner. It was just like everybody knew who the heavyweight champion was every time they were about to fight. But yeah, and I think the convenience of just more shows being available on these either streaming platforms or on TV. When you were 10, 15, 20 years ago, these events weren't being covered. So the only
Right.
way you can see them is to go out and get a ticket and go to it live. Like
Yeah.
the coverage of it's just so much more on TV that actually caters to you being a couch potato and turning fat. I mean, it's really made it you'd have available content with as little effort as possible year after year into the future to this point and into the future. I mean, it's everybody wants convenient. They want it now. I mean, people don't even want to go grocery shopping because
Right.
it's I mean, the society has catered to that now. To people, if you don't want to leave the general vicinity of your home, you can do pretty much anything you want and continue to live that way. Nobody's going to judge you for it. Um, and you're going to get no exercise. And then you're going to look up and say, after you got the third chin, you're going to be like, where did that come from? Because cause you don't move, you don't do anything. But yeah, I mean, think about those stand up comedies. If you wanted to see, in the 80s, your Eddie Murphys or something like that, that wasn't on TV anywhere. Either you had to go to the live show or you had to wait until it got developed into a VHS, and then maybe you missed some stuff. But being that everything is available and right there on the tube at a push of a button allows people to dismiss the live event. It really does.
Yeah, but I mean, I think a big part of that is what we just talked about too. I mean, there's not a marquee name that you are, like, oh man, I like, I got to make sure I'm in the queue for Ticketmaster. Like, there's no Taylor Swift comedy. You know what I mean? Like, there isn't. People aren't going to be jumping over people trying to go to a show now. I think the last.
I mean, you had the runs.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. The last person to actually probably had that was Kevin Hart.
That's what I was about to say. The runs of like your Cat Williams and your Kevin Harts and Chappelle and all of that. Like, now Chappelle's one name that, if he comes up, period, I mean, it's a sold out packed house. So he might have, I mean, of course he's one of those few comedians we talked about that can do the stuff on TV, the sketch comedy,
Right.
and he can do stand up. So, he's multifaceted in that endeavor. But yeah, there's no name out there. I mean, like you said, since Kevin Hart, I don't know who's the top dog, who's the big ticket bringer right now. I have no clue.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it's one of those deals that I think we forget the absolute reach of COVID. Just the everything it affected. So,
Yes, it did.
But yeah, I mean, I don't dislike stand up at all, but I definitely lost interest. It's just not, and I don't know if it's because you really have to be PC now, and you really have to be
absolutely
cognizant. Like, you have to be careful. Like, you
don't want to get canceled.
Right. And that, thank you, internet. So another beautiful, gift from the internet gods. So give us streaming and take us away, your actual punchline. Because,
well, I equate comedy now, stand-up comedy, to a good analogy would be the NFL, just football, period. Like, players like Jack Ham, Steve Lambert, and Steve Atwater.
Okay.
Those players, even James Harrison, those players would not survive in today's NFL because they would be considered dirty, or it would be, they're too rough. So the comedians if Eddie Murphy's Raw, his stand-up comedy, if you tried to broadcast that to an audience of this and tried to, make that message and those jokes fly over to today's Me Too, offend me, whatever you want to call it, environment, he would get killed on stage. I mean, those jokes, your Andrew Dice Clays and all that, they're just severely offensive to the people now. Like, they can't survive. So same thing with the football. It's like those players, hardcore, hard-nosed players of the 70s and the 80s that you loved, that took people's heads off, they wouldn't last 2 games. In this first, the first game would be a suspension for 4 games, and the next one would be a suspension for the rest of the season. They wouldn't be able to make a living. Same thing with comedy. Like, I mean, comedy, even as recently as Chappelle on some of his stand-ups on Netflix, and he said, he was like, "Who am I?" Remember, he was doing an impersonation. And he was like, "Who am I?" He was like, "Duh, I'm going to cancel. If you say anything from 20 years back, I'm going to cancel." He was like, "That's how the audience sounds to me now." It's like, you have to be strategic. I'm talking like you almost have to double, triple, quadruple check your work before you let a joke out.
Ironically enough, you now need to bring a piece of paper onto the stage. So you don't improv. Like, I mean, I'm not saying you need to go, make fun of dwarfs and what have you. Like, you don't have to do stuff like that, whatever. But you can tell that the freedom of what they are trying to do isn't there. It just isn't there. They have to. You can tell this is like the 4th joke that they, on their depth chart. Like, this is not their A game. This is not what they wanted to tell. And I don't think that's very fun, because I think you're going to a comedy show. You should realize they're all jokes. They're all tongue in cheek.
I mean, of
Like,
course, you're not going on stage to purposely offend the whole crowd, you know,
right.
but with the alphabet group and with whoever else and women activists and whoever, even if you, of course, what you're saying is meant to be a joke. Your title is comedian. Doesn't
Right.
comedian mean someone that makes jokes for a living? Even with that title and that preference, before you even go on stage, someone's gonna get offended in an attempt to get you canceled. Or, you know, even, you know, Chappelle, he got attacked on stage. They'll even run up on a stage and attack you if they're offended by what you're saying. So it's
And
like,
I would just think that, you know, you would research, like, for with the advent of the internet, you would research a little bit before you go to these shows too. You know, like your first comedy show should not be Bill Burr. It just should not be Bill Burr. You know what I mean?
mhm.
Like, you need to kind of dip your toe in a little bit, or do your research before you go there, so you know, like, okay, so this dude is definitely a bit of a shock jock, right?
Yeah,
You know, he's gonna say some things to get under your skin and gonna be over the top, but that's his persona on stage. But I feel like people don't do that. They just go and they expect that their feelings are going to be catered to. Guess what, man? You paid your money. No one gives a fuck about your feelings.
yeah,
Sorry. Like, you paid your ticket. You are going to you're going to a comedy show. In general, you don't need to even go any further than that. You're going to a comedy show. Check your feelings at the door. Like,
yeah.
that's how that should go.
Yeah, it's not like you were in the park enjoying walking your dog and then a comedian jumped out of
Right.
nowhere and just started presenting jokes to you. No, the comedian had a headline. You went and spent tickets. You came to his event to see him, and then you get offended by what he says. You what? That's like, I mean, that's like, okay, I tell you I live at this address and I tell you, I give you all the warnings. Hey, man, it's a bad neighborhood, so on and so forth. You know, over my houses, as we get loose, we allowed to do this, this. And then you come in my house and you don't like what I'm doing in my house and you're offended and you're critiquing everything that's going on in my house that you paid at the door to get into. Like, what?
Oh, add one more thing. I'm also going to tell you how to do it correctly. Don't forget about that, because that's what happened. And
Yeah.
it's
Like,
such a
what?
strange thing, man. It really has, like, all, it's like a trifecta of things that ruin comedy. The
I mean,
internet,
comedians nowadays are walking on eggshells. I mean, if
right?
they're on that stage now and they're doing stand-up comedy, like you said, this is probably a watered down to the fourth level of what they really want to say, and it's not a
Right.
really a concentrated message. And not only are they walking on eggshells, I've also noticed today's maybe stand-up comedy or comedian, they're not they're very cautious on stage. They're not feeling loose. They're not, you know, before back in like Richard Pryor and all, they would have a
Right.
drink on stage. They're smoking cigarettes because they're comfortable. They don't care about offending nobody. Now that comedian is like they're drinking the water, if even that. They're scared to. I mean, how can you do your best at what you do if you're scared to make a mistake? Like that's crazy.
And then realizing that your mistake isn't really a mistake. It's just someone taking what you said out of context, clipping it, putting it on the internet, and now all of a sudden Dave Chappelle, you know, beats women. And it's like, what? That was a skit from 25 years ago. What do you? No, he
Yeah.
said he beats women. What? Stop. And then that is what that is. Then you get canceled. Then he will have to apologize, which is even stranger. Yeah, it's a whole thing. But all right, let's get into good stuff. because we're not. I figured since we're doing it later, we're going to shorten the episodes a little bit.
Yeah.
Not because sleepy, just because makes sense.
Yeah. And plus, I
As
mean, we're going to be doing more. I mean, we're going to be doing more shows. So, I mean, we don't have to, whereas we were doing once a week, maybe we're doing a little bit of catching up on top of that. And, but
right.
we're going to have more frequent conversations. So we don't have to nail
Like
everything out
tomorrow.
in one episode. Yeah, pretty much. Football.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into it here. All right, it's draft time. So, this can go a few different ways. I'm saying, and it can be a mixed match, it doesn't matter. But you can't do like so the draft is kind of top stand-up comics or sets, right? Now, if you choose a set, you also can't choose the comic. That's the one caveat. So like for you, right? So let's say you want to choose Eddie Murphy, but like the set you want to do was Raw. You can't choose Raw and then another pick, choose Eddie Murphy, right? Like you can't double up like that. So if you're gonna choose, so if you look at Eddie Murphy's whole discography, right, and you're just like, yeah, the only thing that sticks out to me is Raw. I would say you probably want to pick Raw, not Eddie Murphy in a whole. See what I'm saying?
Okay. So you can't just choose the comedian and just say, I claim everything they do.
You absolutely can. No, you absolutely can.
Okay.
All what I'm saying is you're going to waste a pick if you're like, Eddie Murphy's my one pick, and number 2 is Raw. It's like that. You just wasted your pick. That's dumb. You don't.
Okay. Yeah. Well, Eddie Murphy, I'd rather name the actual stand-ups so I can use them more than one time.
So, go ahead. You lead off.
I'm trying to go back historically. I don't know exactly what the name of the comedy is. I mean, the actual stand-up. But I know it was like maybe mid to late 70s. One of those stand-ups, I don't know if it's JoJo. No, JoJo Dancing was an actual movie, but Richard Pryor on some of those stand-ups that I've seen. I probably haven't seen them beginning to end, but the different clips, and Eddie Murphy got his inspiration from Richard Pryor, but some of those stand-ups from Richard Pryor, I mean, tears, cracking up, like kids have to pause to breathe type. So I am going to claim him all because I don't know the names of all his individual stand-ups. So I'm going to say Richard Pryor.
So your number 1 draft pick is Richard Pryor. All right.
No, you say, so we're like in the.
Okay. No, I'm just no. I'm just going. We're just as.
Okay. I'm about to say I'm not trying to say Richard Pryor's the best comedian I've ever best stand-up I've ever listened to or anything. I'm just naming him as one, as a significant one.
I'm gonna go Bill Burr. Just because he is so goofy. He's goofy, and his little voice things and his upward inflections and just his overall arcing, not caring about what you like. He's one of the guys that strikes me as like, cancel me. I fucking dare you. Go ahead. Like, he just strikes me as that, like, dude, I'm just gonna bang my wife and live off the money I made. Do what you want. That's fine. I don't give a shit. I'll do another special. It's fine. Don't worry about it. So,
yeah. Okay. Another comedian did some writing for Richard Pryor himself, and I don't know. He can be very offensive. I mean, definitely some stand-ups or some jokes that he did where it's just like, do you know the audience you're talking to? Paul Mooney.
Oh shit.
Oh my gosh. I've, I've never seen somebody try to offend or try to talk down to white people like him, man. I mean, that is insane, with some of the jokes and stuff that he said. So Paul Mooney done said some crazy offensive stuff, but it's all in fun and jokes. I mean,
Right.
you got people. I mean, and I don't think he comes across as, I wouldn't go out as far as saying call him a racist or anything like that, but he's said some pretty unorthodox things where it's just like, whoa, you went a little too far.
Yeah, fair.
Oh man, yeah. Historic. Yep, I'm gonna go Paul Mooney.
I'm gonna go Patrice O'Neal.
Patrice O'Neal.
Please tell me you know who Patrice O'Neal is.
I do not.
Oh God, do yourself a favor tonight and look up Patrice O'Neal. I'm not even gonna say anything about it. I'm just gonna have you watch him. He's dead now, but heavyset black
The
dude.
man's name is Patrice.
Patrice O'Neal. Yeah.
Don't know him. Nope.
I guarantee you've seen him. You just may not
Probably
know.
have. Yeah, I just didn't take the time to find out his name or follow him or anything like that. But you say you're not going to say anything. You're just going to
Nope.
just
Nope.
let me discover.
Just let you discover it and let the audience discover it. Very funny guy. Just his cadence, his delivery, his mannerisms, his facial expressions. He was just very, very, very good at what he did.
Patrice O'Neal. Okay. Well, you gave me something to watch this evening.
I did.
I always enjoy a good laugh for sure. So yeah, you gave me something because I try to stay on top of all, not all. Some people, I don't know. Some comics or some comedians it's hilarious. They're hilarious to certain people, and
Right.
for me, I just don't. It's just not my style. Like I've told you before that overall I think Kevin Hart's a funny guy, but all of his stand-ups they just
The
don't
same.
they don't rock me the way that they rock other people. He's always making fun of himself and how short he is and all that. I don't know. That's
Yeah.
It's not always funny because I'm probably short too. You know what I mean? So I don't really find that like extremely hilarious. I just don't.
Yeah. No. I
Or those comedians that make fun of themselves a lot. Like I'm not real big into that.
Yeah. You can't kind of keep rehashing the same joke. It's like, dude. It's like funny your first special, but motherfucker, this is like the fifth one. Stop.
Yeah. And I think between him and Cat Williams, I probably gravitated a little bit more to Cat because Cat made fun of himself. Of course, he knew he's a small guy, but Cat had more to say than just I'm making fun of myself all the time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, out of the two, I would probably lean towards Cat as being a little bit funnier to me. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to offend anybody or your Kevin Hart fans out there. And I'm not saying that Kevin Hart is corny. It's just I can only take so much of that, and then I'm like kind of tuned out.
Right, and he's kind of oversaturated the market too. He's like everywhere now. So
everywhere, yeah. Like now, you turn on a football afternoon, and he's on every other commercial now. So it's like, yeah. All right, my third pick. You already talked about Raw. I am gonna choose Raw. Raw was like one of the funniest stand-ups I grew up with in my life. even the intro to begin before he even comes out on stage, and they're showing him as a little kid in that little skit in the beginning. Raw was like Raw today. Like if it came out today, it would offend too many people. I mean, it's still out there. It's not like the alphabet community or women or whoever. I mean, any of these groups can't still access this, but it's
They're
not
not gonna.
live. Yeah, it's like it's buried. For those people that want to sneak and watch it, it's almost like you got to sneak and watch it. But I mean, if that was released in today's world, it would fall flat. It wouldn't even make it to. It wouldn't be in the theaters no more than a one weekend before. It's protests everywhere because he offended a lot of people. A lot of people in that special, but it's still funny jokes that you can not know somebody from across the country. I can go into a restaurant with somebody in Texas or something and say one of the lines from that stand up, and people will just get in line and finish off the rest of the skit. Like I could say one line and they'll finish off the other line because that's how historical and how impactful that special was. Raw was one of the funniest stand-ups of all time to me.
I'm gonna go with the show, but it's also the people. I'm cheating, but you'll understand. The Kings of Comedy.
Oh my gosh! Yes, that is another one. That's right up there.
It's really like it's the name of the show, but it's also like their moniker. So, I mean, I would say personally, out of the four, absolutely Bernie Mac.
Without question.
Because milk and cookies, like absolutely, like that's what it was. Like you like that milk and cookies thing was quoted so hard. And
it's another one where you could
not do that now.
Yeah. But that's another one you can lay out one line and 90% of the room can finish the rest. It's like everybody knows,
Yeah. I mean, and it just I mean all DL, Steve, Cedric.
I think to this day, that's the funniest I've ever seen Steve Harvey in my life. Like, not saying that Steve, like he wasn't really. I didn't even know how funny Steve Harvey was until.
I don't think anybody did, man. I don't think anybody.
Yeah, I mean, I seen him like little shows and stuff, and he's a jokester on shows you would watch after you would get home from school or something like that. But he wasn't funny until you heard that stand up. It's just like, oh, this dude is funny as hell.
Right.
Yeah, that's
and really, like you think about it, that was like the jumping off point because then DL got a show on the WB, I think. And then and then, I mean, obviously years later, Steve got Family Feud, I think.
Yeah.
And then he had a show like it's, then I mean Bernie died.
They all just start. They all start jumping off. Bernie Mac show built based off of the story in that comedy. I mean, they all got their own shows. They started popping up in movies, and that was the jump off point for pretty much all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, Bernie was known, but like, I don't know. Bernie was known from Def Comedy Jam a little bit before that. White people know. Why? You hit it right there.
Like,
he wasn't known to the masses. Yeah. Like he was underground. Like those underground hip hop tapes that people pass around. Everybody knew who Bernie was because Def Comedy Jam is when Bernie first hit the scene, but it was still hush hush. It wasn't commercial nationwide. And then after that, he hit nationwide. Like, everybody knows this dude now. Next thing you know, he popping up in movies, Transformers, and all types of shit.
Charlie's Angels and shit.
Yeah. Wow. He's Kings of Comedy. Wow. I totally forgot about that. I don't know why. And I don't know how.
I mean, it's been a long while, man. I get it.
Yeah.
Oh, the hose is calling. Hold on.
Nope. It's my daughter. I'm gonna have to call her back. Oh, she didn't call me with no drama. She didn't call me with some drama with her mom. I don't want to hear that right now. I just do
Come
not.
on, it's 11:15. It's a great time for drama. Fucking Tuesday? Come on. Greatest World
Yeah.
Entertainment?
Come on. Like, let me be. But
Yeah, your kid's calling you late night. It's never a good thing.
yeah. But I'm trying to think to myself. I mean,
I got quite a few still.
I still do. I mean, I got Chappelle, but I'm just thinking like, what was the best stand-up he did? I don't know.
Killing Me Softly. They're killing
Killing
me
me
softly.
some. I think I might have liked it. I think the one that's I think it's Sticks and Stones. One of those Netflix ones you'll have me cracking up more than the other. They all are pretty good, but one was like had me rolling.
Wait, was Killing Him Softly about the baby selling crack on the corner?
Might have been. I don't
That's
recall
the
too
one he
much
did
from
in
Killing Me.
DC. That's the one he did in DC, I believe.
I think it was the one that he had like a green, like almost like a one piece jumpsuit. You know,
Dude, it was blue, I think.
huh?
I think it was blue because I'm picturing. I think it was blue. He ended up looking like he was fucking in half baked.
Like a yeah, almost like one of those, but not the one I'm talking about. It was definitely like a camouflage colored green, and it had the C on the C patch, like his Chappelle logo, and it was like his first Netflix special since he had been out of showbiz for 12
Okay.
years or whatever.
Mine was before. Okay.
Okay. So yeah, I think the very
Mine
first
was before
Netflix
Chappelle.
special
Okay.
after Chappelle's show, I guess went to hell or went on hiatus for 12 years, and then he came back. That first Netflix special, that one, I think that was called Sticks and Stones.
Okay.
Hilarious. It's probably the best one.
I'm gonna name a guy you probably never even heard of. Mitch Hedberg.
I heard the name.
Okay.
But I don't think I heard any of his jokes or anything like that.
Just a big stoner guy, but just very dry. Like I don't know. I don't have a good way to explain his humor. I would maybe check him out. It's Mitch Hedberg. He just a super funny. It's not even his jokes were that funny, but it's his dry delivery and his like dead ass stare. He would just look at you and just wait for you to laugh. I don't know, just something about what he did. Very good. Just very, very good. I'm not super articulate about it. It's hard to explain what he does.
Mitch Hedberg. Okay.
Yeah.
Him and Patrice O'Neal.
It's definitely not for everybody. Like that's the thing. It's not like you may watch it and be like, this is the dumbest shit I've ever seen.
I doubt it. I mean, certain things, we got kind of similar, comedy or sense of humor. So yeah, I'm a definitely that and Patrice O'Neal. You got me with two people that I gotta definitely check them out. I mean, I'm always looking for some like good comedy.
He's unfortunately dead too.
Okay. So that was all, right? I mean, I got some honorable mention. I mean, there's definitely Me, I got Mike Epps. I mean, if you've seen any of his stand-ups on either Netflix or anything before that,
Yeah, I don't know. It never really got me.
you never did materialize. He had me
I
cracking up.
appreciate him as more of a character actor. I
Yeah,
enjoy
I
him
mean,
more
he's
there.
goofy on the Fridays and all that, but I mean, his actual stand-ups, some of them,
Yeah, yeah.
certain
I've
parts of them
seen
had
it.
me
I've seen
rolling.
one. I'm just like, okay.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, some of those Mike Epps definitely had me cracking up for sure. Yeah. Other than that, I'm trying to think. Is there anybody like
Norm
truly leaving
Macdonald.
out? Hmm?
Norm Macdonald.
Not too familiar with him either.
Another real dry guy, but him and Mitch Hedberg are kind of one and the same.
Okay.
And Norm is unfortunately dead too. Jesus Christ. Maybe I can name
See,
a live person.
there's people that are funny in skits and shows, but can't stand up. Like me, Martin
Norm did
Lawrence.
both. Norm did. Yeah, I thought about Martin. Yeah.
Martin wasn't his stand-ups. I mean, they didn't really hit home. I mean, Martin's funny as hell in movies and shows and all of that, but the actual stand-up, I
Left
mean, he
his
had to
home
want.
base.
Yeah, it was like You So Crazy or I think Run Tell That. What was the names
Yeah.
of them? But they wasn't. They didn't like kill you from the beginning to the end. It was just like bits and pieces that were really funny. To some of it, it was just like overdrawn or behavior that was just like, okay, you took it a little too far. So I wouldn't say Martin Lawrence is a great stand-up comedian, but he's
No.
a great comedian. I mean, he's funny as hell in shows and movies. I wouldn't go as far as to say he's a great stand-up
No.
comedian.
No.
Anybody else you got? You said Norm Macdonald, Patrice O'Neill,
Norm
Mitch
Macdonald,
Hedberg.
Mitch Hedberg, and Patrice O'Neill. Yeah, I don't know. Another stand-up guy.
So if I come back to this podcast next week and my face is like the Joker, it's stuck from laughing.
Yeah.
You could thank yourself for putting me on to him.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can't really think of anything else. If I have to think that hard, I would say I'm probably done.
You said what?
If I have to think this hard, I'm probably done.
Yeah, most likely. Yeah, if you haven't come up with anybody, I'm trying to think. He's a funny person, funny guy in skits and stuff, but I don't think he's ever done stand up. It's Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey's a funny guy in like a lot of.
He started in stand up.
Oh, see, I've never heard any of his stand ups, but definitely.
He was probably very coked up. Like this is like 8. So this is like pre and Living Color.
Pre and Living. Okay, yeah.
Like when he was going by James Carey.
Yeah. I remember him in that 80s movie. It was like Once Bitten, something like that. It was like a vampire movie. That's my first time ever seeing him on the screen. Jim Carrey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm kind of tapped. I mean, I can name.
Yeah, don't fabricate. Yeah, don't just make somebody up.
It's not like it's.
And then, like you said, I mean, like, think about it.
Well, you know what? I like Louis C.K.
You said what?
I like Louis C.K.
Yes. Okay. See, some reason I thought the Mitch Hedberg dude was that same dude, but I definitely heard some of Louis C.K. and that definitely was funny as hell. Okay. Yeah. I couldn't remember his name. Okay. That makes sense. Somebody put me on to him a long time ago. or just a
Yeah.
couple jokes. I've never seen a stand up beginning to end, but I've heard some jokes.
Yeah, it's a lot of self-deprecating
It's like,
humor, but he's like
it's
kind
like
of like
I
a
want
chubby
black friend. Everybody has a black friend.
he's like a chubby ginger, so I feel like you have a lot to make fun of, so it's like oh.
Yeah.
So let's wrap up here.
Okay.
So let's see here. What would you like to do? Hold on. Let me go here. Okay. So stand up is done. We can talk about things that make you sleepy. We can do the sports logos, the pros and cons of moving that you mentioned, hardest things about a relationship. If you're black, you handle a white problem first. If you're white, you handle a black problem first. That needs some build up to it. Foods that are good, hot or cold. Like we got a lot of things to talk about here. So I think, we got some ideas out here. Maybe some folks in the comments can maybe kind of give us an idea which one they want. We'll see. But we'll figure that out. But yeah, look, schedule reminder. Tomorrow we got football at 10. I'm going to try to get Taylor on because I kind of want to just go over our drafts. Because there's not really much to talk about until the games, so
I mean, besides the matchups, and you've every one of these sports shows done drilled home these week one matchups. Everybody know about the week ones. It's like, do you want to still talk about it? We can, or just highlighting the players we got in these matchups. And,
Yeah, I mean, I feel like tomorrow can really just be like, hey, let's talk about the draft here. Let's talk about our draft, why we went where we went.
Where was you thinking? Yeah.
Went, things like that. So it'd be cool if we can get him on here too. But yeah, then I guess we're free until Saturday. And we got the back to back. But yeah. Appreciate the folks that popped in. We had a few people pop in and out. I get it. It's late.
Oh, we did? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. No one.
Yeah, I'm surprised for this late. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a little nightcap, kind of one of those deals. But yeah, we're getting real close to the 100 sub mark, which is just pretty fantastic, man. Like it's really. I looked at the weekly recap this week or the monthly recap. We had about almost 6,500 views this month on stuff, which is just funny. It's funny because. Like when we first started,
anything in the double digits was a huge win.
If we got 10 views on a video and like ended the month with 50, what? It's crazy.
Strutting around, chest out.
Oh, one thing I do want to tell you from a business standpoint. So StreamYard has raised their price by about $20.
Whoa.
Yeah. Well, one of the really, really cool things, there's actually some things coming with it, which are nice. I gotta investigate them. But now we're gonna be able to record in 1080i instead of the 720p. So, better resolution. Probably should translate into some better audio, I would think. But not mad about it. I'm actually pretty okay about it. I don't need any of the other perks that go with the tier above that, but it seems like inflation hit them too, which that's fine. So it puts the overhead over 3 digits now. So I'm saying that with the thought that, hey, if you're willing to help, want to kind of contribute to the show, help out with the overhead, go to the Patreon, $5. The deal we talked about in the beginning. But, just excited to do the whole Q&A thing. But if you could help out with that, that'd be great. I mean, we're gonna get this merch thing kind of going sooner than later, but I really want to see. I want to see some demand for it. You know, I know we talked about the kiddo. He was like, "I want wristbands." I'm like, "All right, dude, cool, fantastic." So, been looking at some vendors, like I told you. So there are some things in the works, but you know, I should be getting these logos here. I think my dude got behind a little bit. Shaw did, but that's okay. Still gonna get it. Not worried about it. But yeah, some cool things on the horizon here. But I don't know.
Yeah, if you want to help out, you want to make the nun in the background smile. She's upset until
yes,
I'll contribute.
yes, and
Turn her frown upside down.
I'm gonna start putting up some more stuff back there too. I'm gonna have.
I'm like, man, I gotta get a terrible towel or something back there. I gotta get me some. I'm still back in two dudes on the couch. I'm just on the couch.
I mean, hey, look. Sometimes less is more, but yeah, it probably wouldn't help, or probably wouldn't hurt to have a little something other than a slightly darker shaded wall than your couch.
Yeah,
it's like you're on a green screen.
These dingy cream walls. What lights just ain't that bright? Just got to get some brighter lights. But yeah,
dude, get one of those little ring lights, man.
That's what's in there.
No, like the ring light I have.
Like what do they call them? It's like vanities or something.
Yeah, like look how bright this thing gets.
Dang. All right. Well, that's what you use when you put your makeup on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Exactly what I do. But yeah, man. So good show. I like it. I like that we kept it, you know, right around an hour. I think that's what we should start probably doing.
Shooting for, yeah.
Nice. But yeah, so I will see you tomorrow, same time, 10 o'clock. So everyone that is curious about football, kind of sub to the channel and sub to, well, the whole thing. But show up tomorrow, but sub to the channel where I will make that nun come get you. Ooh, spooky season. All right. Toodaloo.
All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in.
Bye-bye.